tomorrow's snow could mean some school delays or even closings. You know, we're here for you when any of those cancellations or delays happen. But today, Prospect Elementary School is closed in Hempstead again. Prospect Elementary, Front Street Elementary, and Hempstead High School were all closed yesterday. Because of the cold, they had heating and plumbing issues. In fact, pipes burst, and that may have caused the water, or pipes may have burst, causing the water here on the high school floor. These pictures were sent to us by a community group. Some parents tell us their kids were left out in the cold yesterday because they were never notified the schools were closed.
Their kids were left out in the cold? Excuse me? When I was in elementary school, it could be fucking 14 degrees out and we would have to stand outside the school until it was time to go in. Until it was time that it was like 5 minutes before school started. This way you could put your coat away and all that stuff. We had to stand out in the fucking cold. Sure, they had people watching. We called them aides, and of course there was always the running joke that the aides have AIDS, ha ha ha. But yeah, we all had to stand out in the fucking cold. Didn't matter if you were freezing. Oh, run in place, Johnny. That's all you'd get. That's all you'd get. Too bad, fuck you. Doesn't matter if you're sick, doesn't matter if you had the flu, doesn't matter if you had a cold, you had to stand out in the cold. But now we have special needs kids, and they can't be left out in the cold. They weren't called, well, first of all, they were. You'll hear that later in the story, but they walked, let's say, I had to walk to school, so they walked all the way to school in the freezing cold, oh noes. Okay, they walked all the way to school and then were left out in the cold because school was closed.
My father walked to school 4 o'clock every morning with no shoes on, uphill, both ways, in 5 feet of snow, and he was thankful.
Well, first of all, I don't think the kids would be that fucking upset. You know, they go, oh, fucking cold, God, oh, I got a social studies test today, and, you know, they walk to school, whatever it is, and they get there and they see a note on the door, we're fucking closed, no school today, go home, you have the day off. I would jump for fucking joy. I suddenly wouldn't be cold. Instantly. I would get hot. I would have so much enthusiasm. I would fucking run home. I wouldn't be cold for an instant. Once I read that, I would be over fucking joyed. And the parents are concerned that their kids were left out in the cold. Well, I'll tell you something. When I went to college, you know, we had these robocalls, as they call it, that went out. But They didn't do that. They didn't do that. I remember there was one day we had a hell of a snowstorm and all that shit, and I looked on the news, okay, and this was back in the day before you could just look shit up online and stuff like that, and now we have like the interactive TV thing where you can actually just look up the district or the school or anything and see if they're going to be closed or anything. We didn't have any of that. You had to watch the news broadcast, and they would sit there with a paper list, and they would read down the list, and you had to wait. And if you were in the W's and they're up at the B's, well, then you just had to sit and wait and hope. And, you know, God forbid you had to go to the bathroom like really, really, really bad and you missed it. Then you don't even know when they're going to broadcast it again. Then you're going to be late to school if they're open. It was a mess. But we had the robocalls that went out, but they never even did them because they were trying to save that for emergencies. And I remember there was one day, there was like 64 feet of snow, as usual, that came down. It was pretty bad, I remember. And I was in college. I did have to drive. And, you know, I had to drive to college, and the roads were absolutely fucking treacherous. I get to the college, the parking lot is not plowed. At all. The fucking plow didn't even plow out the parking lot. And people are getting stuck left and right. I'm just going in other people's tire tracks, just hoping, and somehow I made it out alive from there. But I found out school was closed, and I was overjoyed.
Why aren't you checking the school? Why aren't you checking the pipes?
Well, Hempstead district officials and even some other parents tell us robocalls did go out when the issues were discovered. But again, today, Hempstead High School is open, Front Street School in Hempstead is open, Prospect School in Hempstead is closed.
My child has special needs. My child can't be left out in the cold. That's his special need. Now I'm going to sue the school for $46 million. Does this sound fucked up to you? Because it sure does to me. My child can't be left out in the cold. No child left behind. We're teaching kids to be a bunch of fucking marshmallows. First of all, their brain is all just marshmallow anyway, because everything that they know is in their phone. Really, all schools should be teaching is, here's your phone, here's how to use it. But that's the kind of shit you pick up on the street anyways. Back in my day, you'd play stickball, you'd play kickball or dodgeball or something like that. Now, oh, did you get the latest app? Holy crap. Unbelievable. Well, hopefully at least their phones froze in the cold weather, or their batteries died real quick because it got so cold, and then they couldn't call their parents, who of course weren't working, to come pick them up, who should have taken them to school to begin with, but that's of course another story. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.